Nick Chubb trade rumors. Is he headed to the Chiefs? Massive news is swirling. Nick Chubb might be getting traded from the Cleveland Browns. And guess who's at the center of it all? The Kansas City Chiefs. If this deal happens, the Chiefs wouldn't just be adding a running back. They'd be adding a machine. Chubb is one of the most powerful, consistent, and explosive runners in the NFL. His bruising style and downhill speed would bring a whole new dimension to Kansas City's offense picture. Mahomes slinging passes, Tyreek Hill stretching the field, Kelce dominating the middle, and Chubb pounding the ground game. That's not a team. That's a nightmare for every defense in the league. If the trade goes through, the Chiefs are stacking up for a Super Bowl takeover. Chiefs Kingdom, are you ready for Chubb in red and gold? Drop in the comments if you think this move seals the deal. We are witnessing the assembly of what could go down as the most flawlessly engineered football juggernaut the league has ever seen. And if you thought what the Chiefs have done so far was impressive, brace yourself because they're just getting warmed up. Let me draw you a real picture of championship football because it's not about leaning on a single superstar to carry the franchise on his back, no matter how phenomenal he is. True greatness is built through a synchronized ecosystem where each position enhances the others and the unit functions as a flawless, interdependent machine. For too long, franchises have relied on the brilliance of one elite quarterback, hoping his talent alone could patch up every weakness. Sure, it might work for a season or two, but sustained dynasty-level dominance demands something far more advanced, more holistic, and far more durable. What's unfolding in Kansas City is nothing short of a masterclass in team building. This isn't just a roster tune-up. It's a transcendence of what most teams consider possible in professional football. The foundation was already elite when you've got the most gifted quarterback to ever touch a football. You're starting with an edge that 31 other teams envy. But here's the kicker. Having that advantage and maximizing that advantage are two very different beasts. And that's where the plot turns. See, last season revealed a truth that many insiders had been whispering for months. Even the most transcendent QB can only do so much when he's operating inside a system that demands perfection on every snap. When your signal caller has to drop back 40 times a game and conjure magic from thin air on every drive, you're not just taxing him, you're handing savvy defenses a blueprint to exploit. The championship game laid that bare. This wasn't about Mahomes' effort, grit, or skill. It was about structural limitations that even the greatest talent couldn't shoulder alone. But here's where things get scary for everyone else. The Chiefs saw those flaws. They analyzed them, deconstructed them, and then they went to work surgically eliminating every single weak point with the kind of ruthless precision and strategic foresight that only true champions possess. They didn't just fix the issues, they evolved. It started with understanding that elite offense isn't about flash. It's about balanced deception and the power to hit you from any angle at any moment. When a defense knows exactly what you're going to do before the snap, they adjust, they neutralize. But when the offense becomes an unpredictable, multidimensional threat, when every weapon is live, that's when you become uncontainable. And let's talk about the run game, not as an afterthought, but as the engine of unpredictability. We're not talking about a serviceable ground attack. We're talking about a rushing identity that reshapes defensive preparation entirely. A run game that doesn't just move the chains. It opens up passing windows, creates manageable downs, controls tempo, keeps your defense off the field, and demoralizes opponents over 4 quarters. Beyond the stats, here's the deeper value. A potent run game forces defenses to commit bodies to the box. That means fewer defenders in coverage. That means open lanes for receivers. That means play action becomes a nightmare to defend. This is the transformation of motion. This is Kansas City elevating from champions to something far more terrifying. When you design rub routes through a dominant ground game, you unlock devastating play action opportunities that can lead to explosive field flipping passes. But more critically, you alleviate pressure on your quarterback, giving him manageable third downs, advantageous down and distance situations, and high percentage throws that sustain drives and keep the offensive rhythm humming. The upgrades along the offensive line form another vital cornerstone in this championship blueprint. When your protection holds firm, your quarterback can methodically process progressions, identify optimal passing windows, and release the football with perfect timing and surgical accuracy. But when that protection breaks down, even the most gifted QB is forced into rush decisions, compromised vision, and suboptimal outcomes. Yet protection isn't just about keeping the quarterback clean, it's about establishing dominance in the trenches. When the O-line consistently generates push, opens rushing lanes, and executes with sharp precision, you unlock big play potential on the ground that reshapes entire drives. Even games. Now let's talk about the receiving core Fs, the final electrifying piece of this offensive metamorphosis. When you already have chemistry and proven production from elite pass catchers injecting young, dynamic talent with varied skill sets, creates matchup nightmares for defensive coordinators. Suddenly, there's no easy answer. You're forcing opponents to make impossible coverage decisions, and somebody will always be open. What does this mean for the upcoming season? It means every team in the league should be on high alert, because when you fuse elite quarterback play with offensive balance, tactical versatility, and explosive weaponry, you're no longer playing standard football. You're rewriting the blueprint. This is an offense that can slice you up through the air with precision, gut you on the ground with power and speed, and keep you off balance with relentless creativity and innovation. And the quarterback leading this charge, he's already carried, franchise to Super Bowl glory on the back of his own brilliance. But now he's surrounded by a system designed not just to support him, but to unleash him. This is no longer about waiting for miracle plays. This is about constructing a high-performance machine that produces magic routinely. ESPN naming him the one player heading into the season isn't just a nod to past excellence. It's a declaration when elite talent meets optimized infrastructure, domination follows. When your QB can make every throw, extend plays with mobility, and outthink defenses in real time, you already hold the high ground. But when you equip that QB with enhanced protection, reliable rushing, and a lethal variety of receiving options, you create a nightmare scenario for every defensive coordinator in the league. How do you even prepare for this kind of assault? How do you game plan for a unit that can attack vertically, horizontally, physically, and mentally from any formation, any personnel grouping, in any spot on the field? Let's be clear. The improvements in the run game are not just nice to have, so they are the catalyst for historic offensive balance. Early rushing production sets the tone, controls tempo, sustains drives, and forces defenses into reactive mode. It opens up the entire playbook, allowing your quarterback to dissect mismatches, capitalize on favorable coverages, and operate with surgical intent. And the investment in the offensive line via free agency and the draft isn't just about patching holes. It's a long-term commitment to protecting the franchise, empowering the run game, and creating a foundation for multi-year title windows. Quarterbacks thrive when they trust their protection. Running backs explode when blocking assignments are executed cleanly, and offensive coordinators become artists when the trenches are secured. This isn't about incremental adjustments. This is a full-scale offensive evolution, one that learned from past playoff failures, identified every weak link, and reinforced the structure with championship-grade steel. You now have a generational quarterback entering his prime, surrounded by the perfect storm of protection, playmakers, and system alignment. This is no longer about compensating for past weaknesses. This is about maximizing every ounce of potential. When elite talent collides with optimal circumstances, championships don't become possibilities. They become destinies. The rest of the NFL has officially been put on notice. This isn't about one magical season. This is about constructing a sustained era of excellence, a dynasty blueprint forged in foresight, execution, and resolve. Other teams may try to imitate this level of organizational genius, but there's a vast difference between replicating and surpassing, and Kansas City isn't waiting for anyone to catch up. The framework is set. The vision is clear. The future is now. Y'all aren't ready for what just erupted around Travis Kelce. This man said something that sent shockwaves through the entire NFL. Watch until the end, because what just unfolded in Kansas City has every football analyst, player, and fan buzzing. And let me make one thing clear. This ain't your average preseason storyline. We're talking about one of the most electrifying, battle-tested tight ends in the modern era, and he just dropped some unfiltered truth that left people picking their jaws up off the turf. Before we dive into this firestorm, smash that like button if you're riding with the Chiefs no matter what. Drop a W in the comments if you still believe Kansas City's championship fire is burning strong, or toss in an L if you think the pressure is starting to crack the foundation. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? We're building the realest, most engaged football community on the internet. Right here. Travis Kelce Sundays, and who's delivered in every clutch moment, who's never backed down, and who's worn that Chiefs uniform like armor, said something that made the entire kingdom pause. This wasn't just banter. This was a moment that made people rethink everything they thought they knew about one of the most respected voices in the NFL. When you're an elite athlete at the top of the game, every word carries weight. Every statement gets analyzed, debated, and spun in every direction imaginable. And when Travis Kelce speaks, the football world listens. So let's peel back the layers of what really happened, because this isn't just a soundbite. This is a window into the mindset of one of the most authentic, unapologetically real competitors in the sport today. Travis stepped up to the mic and addressed what no one else wanted to talk about. A high-stakes game scheduled to be played thousands of miles away from the familiar battleground of Arrowhead. The location? Sao Paulo, Brazil, temperatures in the 80s, humidity, suffocating, playing conditions. Brutal. Kelce looked directly into that podcast mic and said what every single player was thinking but didn't dare say out loud. He talked about the crushing heat, the sweltering humidity, the reality of trying to perform at an elite level while it feels like you're sprinting through a steam room. And you know what? He didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't hide behind polished PR statements. He gave us raw, honest truth straight from the heart of a warrior who's lived this grind. But here's where this story gets deeper and more revealing. After dropping those truth bombs about the punishing climate in Brazil, Kelce didn't run from what he said. He stood tall in it. But he also did something that showed us why he's not just a star. He's a leader. He stepped back up to the mic and owned the moment. Not because he regretted speaking truth, but because he realized some might interpret his comments as a lack of passion for representing the Chiefs and the league on an international stage. That right there, that's accountability. That's leadership. That's the difference between a superstar and a champion. Travis Kelce reminded the world that being real doesn't mean being reckless. And telling the truth doesn't mean avoiding responsibility. Thank you guys. See you next video.